Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome back to the desk for a wonderful Saturday. Smite Summer Finals are here, but we're going to take a very small detour this morning towards the minor league, where we get to see the finals between the best Europe and North America has to offer.
Insignem versus very nice to me, and look, this is a game that I think it could be one of the best all weekend. It really could shape up to that. I mean, we had high expectations for last time we had the minor league finals. Didn't really deliver on the hype from Europe's side because Insignem really didn't have a great performance, and I really think that the DeathPanter and LASBRA and the squad really want to redeem themselves here in the summer.
Well, on your screen there is PainToViand. In the background, Coach Skeely Dunn. This is very nice to me. We speak a lot about the minor league, and to be fair, they've been coined with a very, a nice phrase of the SPL waiting room. All these players from Very Nice to Me, outside of SoloOrTroll, have all played in the SPL prior.
Exactly. So everyone has that SPL level experience, and I really think that this team should be the favorites here, just based on how poorly Europe showed during spring. But at the same time, I think that a lot of these players haven't played on LAN before, to my knowledge. I mean, Sam for Soccer hasn't, didn't make a LAN during his time in the SPL. Wowy did, but I really think that watching Sam and Moswal play up against LASBRA and DeathPanter are going to be the matchups to watch out for.
Well, you mentioned Sam for Soccer there. Himself and PainDeViande gave us an interview this morning. Let's see how they were feeling coming into today.
Hey, what's up? We got PainTeViand and Sam for Soccer here repping the Smite Minor League. Real quick, you guys just won last time you were here. Do you have the same level of confidence coming in for the summer split?
Well, pretty much. We're facing the same opponents, so obviously there's experience coming in, so kind of have the advantage here. And for this LAN Avenue team, so they don't know what we play necessarily, the way we played last time, so.
Looking at both of your teams' record, you guys dominated your respective regions, but there's always seems to be a clash of meta between North America and Europe, whether it's Pro League or the Minor League. What have you seen out of Insignem that you're going to try to exploit today?
Well, we looked into their last couple of games that where they ran their picks mainly. We don't really expect to play off their playstyle too much, more off their picks. We tend to win off having, let's say, a small early lead, and then we invade their buff or something like that, right? So picks being the weak part in the early game, when you pick like late game characters, we're just playing off that basically.
My question's for Sam specifically. It's been fun kind of watching you grow. You got a taste of the Pro League and then bounced back. But you've gone through AVGL, the Minor League. Here you are. This is one of your first big boy lands. I just want to get inside your head. Tell me what you're feeling, what you're thinking.
I guess I'm excited just to play at LAN, honestly. Not really too nervous or anything, just kind of ready to play and see how we do, I guess.
And then for the fans that have seen you kind of in the Pro League but haven't really seen you since, what can you tell them to expect out of you?
I don't know, I guess good performances now, I don't know. I've had some bad plays in some SPL games, but I think I'm kind of past that, like nervousness and things like that, and just ready to kind of wreck, I don't know.
Sounds good, man. Pain, you going to win?
Of course I'm going to win.
There it is. Thanks a lot, guys. Good luck in your match.
Well, that's definitely a tale of two different players there. I mean, PainToViand been around the block a few times, a couple of World Championship finals for himself.
Man.
And Sam for Soccer on his first LAN, who he may not be nervous, but the interview sure sounded like it.
Yeah, he may have been here for an AVGL LAN. I know he did play for a lot of those, but this is definitely his big boy LAN, as Tom called it. And I don't know, he's just going to wreck or something like that. I love it. Sam, I think that that isn't his forte, is in those sorts of settings, but I do think that he has become much more comfortable at playing jungle at a competitive level, and I do think you can expect a lot from him.
Smite Minor League has some of the best talent to offer of future stars and past stars as well. We did see Paul once upon a time from North America get himself from the Minor League into the Pro League, so it shows that it works. On the other side of things, well, this is Insignem, the team pretty much unchanged outside of the support role, where Half Devil, he ends up getting picked up from SK Gaming, so both sides of the pond have this same sort of thing.
Exactly, both sides lose one of their players to the SPL, though I do think Paul was pretty instrumental to the way that Anxiety Onset in the spring played their game. Half Devil, not to say he wasn't doing a lot for this team, but he wasn't the focal point. And so I think that Insignem has a little bit of an easier adjustment, though, of course, this is an entirely different team for PainToViand. We saw how much Anxiety Onset struggled.
And I think the big thing for Insignem here today is to have a good performance to represent their region. They were disappointed with themselves after spring. Let's have a little chat to them and see how they were feeling coming into today.
Hey, good morning. We're here with LASBRA and Genetics repping Insignem for the Smite Minor League. Last time you guys were here, you did not bring home the victory. What's going to be different this time to bring Europe the Smite Minor League trophy?
Hopefully the one-pick keyboard this time. we got smacked by last time, but this time we're ready, and we have Genetics on new support. Hopefully he's ready as well.
Yeah.
You guys dominated the European side. What enabled you guys to have such a solid performance?
I mean, most games are just LASBRA running the jungle with high pressure. There's not really much they can do when their jungle's gone. That was really it, just playing more of an NA style.
Like LASBRA mentioned, Genetics, you're newer to the team. What can you tell the fans at home? What's your play style like? What do you bring to the squad?
Limited god pool, but hopefully the ones I play will be doing all right today. But yeah, high pressure, not Geb or anything, just super high pressure.
Sounds good. Just like a regular old composition. You guys sounds like you're going to be relatively traditional. Should we find any surprises behind you guys?
Depends what they pick. Maybe a few counter picks, but other than that, just standard what we pick.
So you guys mentioned how LASBRA, you played the North American style meta of aggressive junglers. Looking at Very Nice to Me, did you guys do any sort of research, and how have you prepared specifically against them?
I don't even know, like, we have one main goal, like, because last time we didn't really know what we wanted to do, but this time we're just having a plan, like, going full pressure.
Full pressure.
Yeah.
Anyone in particular you're trying to isolate?
Not really.
Okay, just a whole team effort. Thank you guys so much. Insignem, LASBRA, Genetics, good luck in the tournament.
They seem okay for themselves. Nothing too crazy out of that interview there whatsoever. No. I mean, this Insignem roster now 3 Brits, 1 Dutch, and 1 Danish so far. So the Brits starting to
thanks for that nationality
rule the roost
report.
over there.
You know,
well,
I liked it.
I'd do it over in, you know, for Very Nice to Me, when it's kind of like North American.
Yeah, but you could go by state.
No one cares about states.
What do you mean? I mean, I think it's semi-relevant.
Maybe it's time for picks and bans, though, and I think the one thing about this, Ryan, coming into the picks and bans today, is how much of these teams looked at what's happened so far over summer finals, because we've seen a difference between Europe and North American play overall. Sure. We've seen Europe experiment a little bit more with the double hunter compositions that have been successful. I wonder if we'll see that out of Insignem today.
Maybe. I don't know. I think that they're going to be really focusing on what they said, which is pressure. And I think that that's where they fell short during the spring LAN, is they lost some of their aggressiveness that they had during the online split. I think they're going to learn from that and really look to play aggressive in the early game. If that is with a Soul in the mid lane, she can fill that role, sure. But I think it's less about having double auto attackers and more about just getting pressure by any means necessary.
Into picks and bans we go then, and Very Nice to Me will start things off with the Chandra ban. Now in Insignem, I was mentioning the double hunter because it is DeathPanter in the mid lane, and he's been around the block, been to a world championship and ran quite a few hunters there too.
Yes.
So wouldn't be surprised that they may look back at it, but for now we'll find out. Insignem with the Jean Kui ban.
Yeah, it's been a long time since DeathPanter's been a big hunter player these days, though, so I don't know. I think that he's been really sticking to mages more often than not, and I think that I would expect to see him stick to something like a Raijin, like an Agni maybe. Those are picks that you can get pressure with in the early game and really use that to your advantage.
Well, there was talk of pressure, and with that Sylvanas taken off the table, that does reduce some pressure in the dual lane. Sylvanas, probably one of the greatest in terms of, well, push power in that lane, as well as sustain. So Very Nice to Me not wanting to deal with that. But because of these picks and bans, it opens up Athena.
Yeah, but Chernobog's open, and they don't take it for Wowy, which really, really surprises me. Very Nice to Me has always felt like they want to push Wowy as a front man, and for good reason. I mean, he's a super talented ADC and carries a lot of games. But this tells me that Very Nice to Me has looked at what Insignem does. You heard Genetics say it for himself. His god pool is pretty limited, so they ban away one of his pressure options and then take another one that he really likes. Plus, this is a signature for Pain and always has.
And that's where I was about to go, is PainToViand would rather have his god locked in, because Pain can be very feast or famine, and I think the gods that he plays very well really do stand out. Athena is one of those that was always taken away from him in previous years, but the Chernobog Agni, already I'm happy with Insignem's starting lineup here. Very Nice to Me has to answer back well now.
Yeah, it's surprising that they leave the Chernobog open, but I do think Insignem would have taken the Athena, and this is just what Very Nice to Me wants to go for. There's another pick that Wowy has really liked during the summer split, the Xbalanque. He's been a big proponent of it, and then Moswal, that guy on your screen right now, one of the best Thoths, bar none.
I asked for some, something from Very Nice to Me in response, and you can't really complain about Xbalanque and Thoth. I mean, Xbalanque, though, not seen too much of this land, but that ultimate is still so impactful, and you've seen it.
It really is. I think that Xbalanque has probably been a little bit under-prioritized by my estimation. I think that he is one of the premier hunters still.
Hold on now.
What?
We can't just, glance over that Ymir, can we? I mean...
Oh, no. I mean, I was going to get into it
sorry,
after I monologued
shock.
about
I was in
Xbalanque. No,
shock.
that's fair. This is me. If that is for support, and I think it probably is for genetics, this is probably Insignem going, we understand what Very Nice to Me is doing. We need to get a pick now before they ban away what else we have left in that god pool. You heard genetics say it. He doesn't have a big god pool right now. So that's one of the weaknesses. You have to take gods that you may not want to prioritize super heavily earlier than you want to in draft.
Ymir overall, though, good wave clear, good pressure, I would say. I think the big thing about this Ymir, though, Ryan, is going to be these walls, because Thoth, Xbalanque, and Athena all do struggle against them. Those wall placements are going to be what's really key for Insignem here.
Yes, I completely agree with you, and it's pretty good against these three, but it is very risky to get Athena taunted consistently into Xbalanque and Thoth damage. That's scary, but maybe you can stay safe. It does surprise me that Ratatoskr and Serket were on the table, two gods that LASBRA loves and does very, very well with, and Insignem goes with the Ymir instead. Look, I get it. Genetics may need this to be comfortable.
But do you expect them to ban Ymir? That's where I'm at. I think
depending on how much research Very Nice to Me has done, maybe. And the Sylvanas ban tells me that they've done their research so far. So I don't know. It is a little bit odd. Najah ban as well, looking at Sanford Osiris, that's Zearoe. He's really liked that pick in the solo lane, but I would have much preferred to see a Ratatoskr ban here in this spot. I think that is one of LASBRA, if not LASBRA's best gods.
That Odin, but I don't think anyone's going to be upset by the Odin ban from either side here. Neither team really enjoys having to deal with an Odin so far, as Ratatoskr for LASBRA has now been selected. More than likely LASBRA.
Yes, 100%. 100%. This is a premier pick, and if they want to go for pressure, this is they could have first picked this and felt good about it. The fact that they get it this far in the draft is going to be a big boost for Insignem. I think they got exactly what they wanted in the jungle.
Very Nice to Me then have to select their last two picks. Athena more than likely going to PainDeViande, which means we're looking for a jungler and a solo laner here. Lots of options, and the one, not benefit from Very Nice to Me's point of view is they have to select their solo laner first, which does give Insignem the potential for a counter pick.
Chulainn, Hercules both open. SoloOrTroll likes both of those. He's a big tier fan, so maybe we see him throw that at Zearoe and see if he can catch him a little bit off guard.
Not seen any tier for a little while, and against the composition that Insignem are running here, there's nothing too crazy coming out that's going to really scare a tier either. No. Although RTO is available, and that's one of the ones that can really shut it down a little bit. So you got to be careful around that tier pick.
Very true. That's a good point. Achilles being hovered. This could be in the jungle. Sam really likes his warrior junglers. You'll see him run Nike jungle and things like that to really set up his team. And with Xbalanque Thoth, you don't really need a lot of damage out of the jungle. You need some support. You need some frontline. You need some setup. And Sam doesn't need to play some sort of crazy damage god. We're not looking for a Mercury here necessarily. I think Achilles or Thor could work pretty well in that regard.
Well, it's going to be Achilles and Chulainn locked in, which means Very Nice to Me. Definitely heavy on the front line here. They're going to allow the Thoth to try and sit in the artillery range on the back line and still have the support of the Xbalanque. Insignem, though, with the final pick, options are a little bit more limited now with Achilles and Chulainn off the table. Hercules is one that we expect a potential go-to. We've seen that of the Warriors. Although, you mentioned Tay, it wouldn't be terrible here.
No, it wouldn't be terrible here. Sobek. Okay, and what I was about to say was...
What happened to Sobek, by the way?
People are just valuing solo lane or solo side pressure too much to really see Sobek these days. I wonder if that is Ymir solo.
And it might be.
I wonder if that's Ymir solo, because Zearoe does like those sorts of things. He does like to play his Guardians, and this could be a situation where they just baited Very Nice to Me into a couple bans that they didn't really need to ban away.
Right. Now that Sobek is a hover right now. It's not just been locked in yet. We'll give you an update if it does get locked in there. And that Ymir, like you said, could be in the solo lane. Up against Chulainn, wave clear strong with those glacial strikes, and it will be the Sobek indeed. So still interesting to see what's going to happen here. Do Insignem allow the Sobek into the solo lane, but then relinquish pressure on that right-hand side of the map?
See, I think if Insignem's been watching this land thus far, they will understand that solo side pressure has been heavily valued by SPL teams, and I don't understand how you see that and go, okay, we want to play Sobek over there, especially in regards to Achilles Chulainn on the other side. I think that it's more likely it's Ymir solo in Sobek's support after seeing this draft.
Unless we see Insignem look to allow them to get pressure, so Ratatoskr potentially can look for gank pressure in that lane continuously. But in doing so, you still got Athena and Xbalanque that can make an impact in those engagements on that right-hand side.
Yes.
I think you might be right. I think this could be a Ymir here.
Yeah, and it's an interesting setup. I think that Insignem should probably count their lucky stars if they get Ratatoskr with this setup. I think they could have easily picked Rat right after Agni or Serket, whatever they wanted, and then gone Ymir Sobek bottom 2. But luckily for them, very nice to me, I think missed the mark on their bans.
Makes it's your chance to vote now on who you think will take game 1. It is a best of 3 between these minor league teams, so we'll find out how this works. Last time these two technically met, the last time we had the Smite minor league finals here was spring, and North America, well, they did what they needed to do very quickly and dominantly up against Insignem, but it's Insignem's chance at revenge.
Yeah, this is the spot. You know, Insignem's just been waiting for this opportunity. They're probably a bit upset that they don't get a chance to go up against Anxiety Onset again, but I think the ceiling for Very Nice to Me is higher than Anxiety Onset's was. AX was basically the Paul show with a little bit of Mando Warrior and Pain sprinkled in. Very Nice to Me is a better overall team.
Well, the game is ready. The casters are ready. Let's get down to game 1 between Very Nice to Me and Insignem.
The best of the best here in the minor league are ready to start throwing down. Insignem up against Very Nice to Me. Finch and Tolly here to bring you the cast. And it looks like there was already a bit of a scuffle here in the jungle, as our observer just pointed out. Genetics and PainToViand have already used their sprints. Be about another 2 minutes before those are back available.
Wanted to get the vision around the left side mid Harpies. The Des was talking about pressure between this Achilles and Chulainn on the right side of the map, but with Ymir going in the left side out of Insignem, I think that there's a lot of pressure there now. If you find a freeze, you're definitely forcing beads, whether it's on Moswal or Wowy. Genetics is going to need to set up his team.
That's going to be the idea here. And between the Chernobog and this Ymir, I mean, they should have significant amount of pressure here in this lane, I would imagine. I mean, the Ymir freeze, even the wall potentially to catch out them looking for the dash could certainly set up some kill potential for Joshy. And you know how strong Pain and Wowy have been in lane all split long. It's going to be important to not let these two get comfortable.
Absolutely. Every time Athena's looking for the dash taunt, instant freeze between those two abilities, and then a lot of burst damage off of Joshy's Crystallized Heart Explosion, rooting Athena in place. PainToViand gonna need to be mindful about some of the counter engage when he's looking for the setup.
And it's interesting, they actually just recognize they're probably not going to out-clear this early wave. PainToViand and Wowy go right to the red buff, and then Genetics Joshy go back to their own purple. They're not looking to contest, so Pain and Wowy are going to be able to grab their own jungle. And if they're far enough into that camp, I believe you can still get some of that experience from that range if you're like hugging that back wall.
And Ymir is probably the top 3 Guardians in terms of lane clear at level 1.
Yes.
Sylvanas is definitely number 1. I think Cerberus takes number 2. But Ymir, 8-second cooldown on the Glacial Strike makes it very easy to apply more Frostbites and start whacking on those minions.
That's right, that extra damage you get on those auto attacks can help, but Wowy and PainToViand either way are still going to be the ones pushing further forward over here on this dual lane side.
Capitalizing the fact that Genetics uses abilities on PainToViand, Wowy still had 3 archers besides him, uses that Rising Jaguar to apply a little bit of poke onto Joshy, and it was a race to get back into the lane when both of these dual lanes went to purple to red. Moswal
Collapse on the Moswal, going to fall for first blood. DeathPanter rotating in, able to catch him out. They took a bit of a dangerous pathing solely, but now DeathPanter might fall in return.
The
Dash
stun
has been caught.
Wow, what a stun from SoloOrTroll, catching DeathPanter in the bad spot. Could have preemptively beats it, honestly, if he really wanted to, but the patience from this North American jungler, SoloOrTroll, getting on the board.
Yeah, and that's so interesting, too, because DeathPanter, remember, gets the red buff for Insignem, because Very Nice to Me, PainToViand and Wowy rotate over to grab it, so they do lose that bit of a buff and a bit of an advantage for the duo lane here, but just getting caught out on that rotation in the middle lane ends up meaning they trade 1 for 1, but you never want to get an Achilles off to a good start.
No, definitely not. SoloOrTroll, though, could be in a little bit of trouble, just getting smacked by a bunch of basic attacks as he's going to salmon leap onto those archers. Sobek is not normally known for getting this kind of lane pressure, but I believe LASBRA helped Zearoe alleviate some of this pressure, and now SOT needs to sit under this tier 1 tower. He's going to lose a lot of gold, will have to run back to the base because no teleport.
Yep. That's a curious decision here, that sprint. I mean, probably it's because of that lurking in the waters, I imagine. You're able to get away from that slow relatively easily with that available, but it does mean it's going to be that much more difficult if he gets pressured. And think about it, Tolly. If you're Chulainn in the Sobek, you probably don't think you're going to get pressured, right? So
That's
maybe you don't need the teleport, but unfortunately gets punished here.
Sitting at about half health with a 1-level disadvantage, but the transformation allows this good Chulainn to clear very effectively. Still, with more pressure, is Zearoe as SoloOrTroll hits level 4. Once the level 5 markers hit for the junglers, that's when Zearoe needs to kind of cool down a little bit on the aggression. The execute from SmiteVOD's Achilles cannot be disrespected.
Not at all from Zearoe over here in the solo lane, but it's good he's landing those charge praise early. If he's feeling it, if he's in a rhythm with those, once he starts rotating, it's the big difference maker on a Sobek rotation. It could certainly still be very impactful just with tail whip, just with lurking in the waters, but when those charge praise are on point and he's moving people around the team fights, that's really what can sort of be that catalyst.
Good timing to bag as well, finishing off Shoes of Focus for the Sobek, giving himself that 10% cooldown reduction, a little bit of extra mana to be more aggressive against SoloOrTroll, but recognizing this is SamForSoccer. He's waiting right around the corner, Finch.
He absolutely is. SamForSoccer, as you mentioned, has that execute, but charge prey. Get Zearoe right back to the tower line. Good recognition. They didn't quite have enough control to lock him down, and he had lurking in the waters anyway. He's going aggressive. He wants to start this because LASBRA's nearby.
Trying to make the global pressure through the Cosmos. He's not in range to find the knock of SoloOrTroll. Very low, but LASBRA now finds the kill with Zearoe.
The stun was all they needed, but now LASBRA's in trouble. Not going to land the execute and charge prey. Perfect from Zearoe, but SamForSoccer blinks past, finds the kill anyway. 2 for 2 so far. They're throwing down.
There's fireworks between these two teams, whether it's in the mid lane or a side lane. SamForSoccer playing clean up crew every time, but that's his dash, Finch. He could be in a little bit of trouble.
He absolutely could be. Zearoe certainly still wants this sprint already expended from SamForSoccer, but is going to make it back to the tower line anyway. Totally. I thought that one might have been lost when they didn't get the initial knock up, but a great stun from LASBRA keeps that going.
And the problem was SoloOrTroll wasn't level 5, so he didn't have that ultimate to knock up LASBRA, knock up Zearoe, give himself more rage to make the transformation and get a second set of abilities. That CC immunity would have been so crucial to survive.
And we highlighted this already. You don't necessarily pick Sobek over here thinking you're going to be winning the early game in this laning phase, but that's exactly the case. Zearoe and LASBRA have done a great job putting this pressure into SoloOrTroll. SamForSoccer has rotated, though, trying to defend this blue buff. They're going to have a fight.
They definitely will. They both got spotted around that ward. LASBRA taking more damage than he bargained for. PainToViand with a Defender of Olympus, making it a 3-on-2.
Lurking the water is so important to make sure he doesn't get control, but PainToViand with the dash taunt is going to be the difference maker here. SoloOrTroll gets a much-needed kill and forces Insignem back from the blue.
This is where Joshy needs to start considering making some of his own global rotations to match the Defender of Olympus. Wouldn't be a bad idea to add a Hunter to the mix in that soul lane when all these abilities are already on cooldown. They need a little bit more control, and this Chernobog can certainly apply it with the root.
And that's PainToViand really only recently got to that level 5. Up until that point, Insignem were kind of safe to have that extended pressure, but from now on, they got to be mindful. That Defender of Olympus certainly is going to be coming in to equalize, and that was much needed. SoloOrTroll should be in a better spot moving forward up against the Sobek.
5 kills in 6 minutes between these two teams, starting off really fast in the first game of a best of 3. Normally, these two teams, especially when you're cross-region from North America and Europe, you want to slow down the pace, you want to kind of figure each other out. But in the pre-game interviews, both of these teams wanted to get the pressure, and it seems that it's been working out for both of them because the game is not really lopsided in either way.
No, it's not. It's still very even here. And while I think you're right to say that most of the time we see teams, especially when they're unfamiliar, start off slow. But I just don't know if that's these two teams that they just want to fight all the time. They've been so dominant in the online phases up until now in their respective regions. Now coming in to go up against truly the two best of the best here in the minor league. They're trying to test their mettle.
It's always interesting to see how these two titans within their regions go clash against each other. Insignem, they went undefeated set-wise, only losing 1 game against Burrito in the very first week. And after that, they were on a rampage. What a missed pluck. Zearoe whiffing that, but LASBRA able to still alleviate some pressure because SoloOrTroll could have looked for follow-up.
I don't know if he would have been able to get it anyway with the way SoloOrTroll timed the war cry, but at least then he wouldn't have gone so far into the tower, I suppose. But either way, it ends up being all right for Zearoe. He makes his way right back on out. he is elected to start working on that Breastplate of Valor already. That's going to make this brief time where Zearoe hasn't backed yet very beneficial for him to trade with all that extra physical defense.
Pretty standard start from the Sobek as DeathPanter. It eats all 3 hieroglyphic assaults from Moswal, and despite very nice to me having an undefeated record set-wise, very nice, or Insignem rather, same can be said about the North Americans. Very nice to me. They went undefeated set-wise, but they lost 5 games total in their best of 3s. They didn't lose a set, whereas Insignem only dropped the 1. So that's the small, minute difference between these two teams.
And I think, to very nice to me's credit, Team Voltic is a little bit better competition perhaps maybe than the second or third for Europe, just based on the records that we saw. That's the only reason we can make that kind of claim. So right now is when we're going to find out for sure, right? Like whether which top team really is the higher level. And Insignem, when they came last time here, the Anxiety Onset roster that has, you know, some of those same members like PainDeViande here, it was not very close. Insignem for sure want to be able to show a better set here.
Both these teams wanted to show off, honestly, because this is their SPL audition more often than not. In between splits, teams will often look in the minor league if there's ever struggles for whatever reason, whether it's chemistry or just performance likewise. Pacing slowing down a little bit, but with LASBRA's positioning, it leads me to believe he's looking for this invade.
He is going to come down and grab this red buff. They were positioned around the Gold Fury there for a moment, but I think they recognized they didn't really have enough control around this area to try and get it started. Might be trying to look to play around DeathPanter. He's got such a nice experience lead here built up, but it's SamForSoccer who gets caught out. Does use the ultimate to avoid the freeze, but it's too much damage from the long-range Agni bombs.
And this is why Genetics picks the Ymir. There's just so many dashes that gets caught by it. Only SoloOrTroll can actually jump over it with the Salmon Leap.
They're going to try and chase down Moswal now. Does have the Purification Beads available. Evades and punish off the mark, but LASBRA should be able to find the dunk. He does. Good taunt from Pain. Brings him in a tower line, but DeathPanter's there to control. Everybody makes it out. Insignem looking good.
2 quick picks. I don't think this is going to lead to a Gold Fury, but still denying some experience farming from both SamForSoccer and Moswal with those 2 clean picks. And Zearoe still continuing to be a bully against this Chulainn that opted to avoid magical defense.
He did.
Going for the Gladiator Shield. This cheap 1700 gold bridge item allows him to just make those rotations and get some more sustain once he starts landing those abilities.
Yeah, it's got to be for that sustain, I'm thinking, just to try and get a little bit of heal back when he lands those abilities. But it will help him some against LASBRA, who has shown some attention to this solo lane side, so maybe he wants some protection there. But I agree, a little curious. I like not to go to that magic defense early, but SoloOrTroll, for the most part, it's okay. It's been about that same level gap between them all game long, so it hasn't gotten worse at least.
Still in a little bit of trouble in terms of taking this unnecessary poke damage, but with the Warrior's Blessing, with the Gladiator Shield, he should be A-okay. And normally in the solo lane, when you're against a magical damage dealer, physical hybrid between solo and jungle, you're normally looking for these hybrid items, and the most popular one is Height of Urchin. That comes to mind, being able to finish that off as soon as possible, build those stacks. Could see it later down the road. We haven't seen too much 5-on-5 team fights, but with these players starting to reach level 12 for the second relic, it's sooner than you think.
I like this, though. LASBRA wants to try and go for this red buff invade again, but SamForSoccer is here this time. SoloOrTroll in potential of getting soloed as Zearoe tries to chase him out. Does have the knockup, so he takes more tower shots. Has the tail whip available, too, but not enough damage. We can get back over to this fight happening on the left-hand side. LASBRA's up in the air, gets the knockup on the SamForSoccer.
Joshy getting executed! I thought he was going to land in the tier 1 solo tower. Genetics taking a lot of damage. This red buff invade might not prove to be as fruitful as I thought.
Double kill comes out as well for SamForSoccer. Moswal finds Genetic. LASBRA does have to drop the Purification Beads. Has the dash to get some distance away, but a huge fight from Very Nice to Me. 3 for 1 in total. They come answering back, and SamForSoccer's not done.
Not done quite yet. He does not have the blink. Stun is good. Gets the dash off. Still can do it again, but he's a little too low. Zearoe making the rotation.
The pings are coming out. They have to know he's here. SamForSoccer has to go on the retreat path because Gold Fury has been pulled by Very Nice to Me. Zearoe, the only one with any realistic chance for the steal. Very Nice to Me confirmed the objective. Now Zearoe using that lurking in the water is not going to be able to find a kill. Does get the heal. LASBRA comes in as well. Moswal falls, and a killing spree for the jungler.
PainToViand here to play cleanup crew. Great call from Very Nice to Me, and really unfortunate that Zearoe was not able to find that pluck because he wanted to disengage the Gold Fury and make it reset by plucking away SoloOrTroll from the circle.
unfortunately not able to find it. So the first real objective of the game goes over to Very Nice to Me. But to give you an idea of just how close this game is, it's still tied in the gold category. Experience, though, on the other hand, still pretty heavily favoring Insignem, but it's been brought back. They're going to try and make it worse by grabbing Pyromancer, and no one seems to recognize this should be free for Chaos.
It definitely should be. The experience gap is mostly on these two supports, the level 8 Ymir, or level 9 now, against the level 10 Athena. Not too much to write home about, and a different style between these two support builds. Thinking more about the team as PainToViand, rushing this Gauntlet of Thebes, whereas Genetics, he wants blood. Going for Stone of Binding to give your team that penetration aura after the slow or the stun. You can tell Insignem want to force team fights early.
That's exactly what it feels like, isn't it? And they've done a great job of it. Genetics has been perfect with these walls, with the freezes, and he's had DeathPanter right there behind him to follow up with that Ray and Fire. So if he's in range, getting some free pen to go along with that extra damage and the control that they've provided. I like the different playstyles because they're playing to the build pass that they're having as well.
SoloOrTroll recognizing LASBRA's around the corner. No chase down potential, though. With Gold Fury still down for another 3 minutes. No Pyromancer. It's going to be difficult to tell where the action is going to accumulate, but it's all about the vision control in Insignem with a Sentry Ward right outside the Tier 1 mid tower. A little bit of vision on the right side jungle means that there's going to be some action against Insignem.
SamForSoccer's hanging around. Moswal had the Final Judgment, big charge, but it's PainToViand who's locked in with the wall. SamForSoccer blinks. Final Judgment off the mark. DeathPanter still healthy, and LASBRA's up in the air for the nice knock-up. Beads comes out from Moswal to avoid it, but SamForSoccer takes a ton of poke and has to keep on running.
Great disengage. All of Very Nice to Me now safe under the Tier 1 mid tower, but that can't be said for SoloOrTroll because he's walled away. Great use of the ultimate to avoid the freeze, but he's still in trouble.
He gets plucked back in towards the rest of the team. They still haven't brought him down just yet. Defender of Olympus channeled, but too little too late. DeathPanter finally puts SoloOrTroll in the grave, and they want to come back around for the Tier 1, but Moswal finds some decent poke. Ymir wall, though, is going to shut that all down. Tier 1 tower comes crumbling.
You don't always have to use that Ymir wall to cut off the path of your opponents. You can also use it to zone them away from defending some of these objectives. Great use of these Ymir walls, and great ultimate from Genetics, avoiding the taunt immediately. Now, that's one of the options. The other is to try to freeze the Athena as soon as she dashes, but using that ultimate means that you're going to be able to get off the damage while she's already taking damage from the Tier 1 mid tower. A great stun from DeathPanter to allow this Ymir ult to just do even extra damage.
Excellent here. I know Genetics in the interview was saying he was worried about maybe his god pool might be a little bit limited. Just a little bit of a jib there, but I don't think he's got anything to worry about. This Ymir pick certainly coming out very strong from here in this matchup. The walls have been excellent, as you said, using the ultimate perfectly, the Shards of Ice to immune out CC. He's even found great freezes. Genetics looks very comfortable. The whole team does. LASBRA and DeathPanter have been following up very cleanly.
And it's the Stone of Binding that's been really helping out. Despite having the aura from PainToViand's Gauntlet of Thebes, extra magical and physical protection, it's just not quite there yet to make the impact as Insignem. Make it 7-7 after that chase down. Getting that Tier 1 mid tower allows them to get like a 1,000 gold lead, but at 16 minutes, it's really nothing too much to bank off of.
I'm right there with you. This game is still virtually even at this point. No one really has a significant lead to sort of write home about, but we were thinking about following along with where the build path on these solo laners was going to go, and you had the right call there on the Height of the Urchin. That's where SoloOrTroll is heading, whereas Zearoe more concerned with that Void Stone. So again, the idea of this sort of like AoE pen as a team definitely coming to fruition as Pain dashes in for the taunt.
Trying to get away now. SamForSoccer gonna play cleanup crew up in the sky as Joshy, but who is he gonna land on? It has to be in mid lane.
He could try and come back down, but he does go for the disengage, heading over towards SoloOrTroll. PainToViand has the ultimate channeling up, but not able to come land down in the fight. Genetics now is the one taking damage. A good freeze, goes in the Shards of Ice, but it's too little too late. Wowy removes him. Zearoe is going to be the next target. He does end up getting stunned. Moswal puts in damage, but Zearoe wants to re-engage.
Because LASBRA's right behind. They're playing a flank pincer maneuver. Stun out to SamForSoccer. Flurry of acorns, but he gets responded in kind. Beautiful plug right onto Wowy into the path of flames.
But they all line up perfectly for Moswal. He throws it right down the middle of the team fight. Triple kill comes out from Moswal in the mid lane. Now they want Gold Fury. Joshy, the only one still around with any chance to defend. Very nice to me. Come out huge.
Oh, wow. Not going to go for the Gold Fury. They're just a little too low. And that was the victory for Very Nice to Me, was forcing Joshy out of the team fight instantly.
Yes.
It was a bait initially from the Europeans, but I believe that there was a word from Very Nice to Me that spotted that little flank from both Joshy and LASBRA. Joshy had to use the beats, took too much damage, went into the sky, avoided all the action by going into the mid lane where SoloOrTroll was, and the 4-on-5 team fight started to crumble as Genetics falls. And then the comeback was still solid between LASBRA and Zearoe. DeathPanter making that three-way connection happen, but unfortunately Moswal a little bit more impactful with all this cooldown reduction.
He was just lined up in the perfect position. I think Zearoe and LASBRA unfortunately took a little bit too much poke before they got the pincer all the way executed. LASBRA does come in and find the stun, but at that point Moswal was just able to bring all of them down. That does leave Very Nice to me in a position where they're comfortable pulling the gold. Fury, Genetics, and Joshy are right nearby to try and defend, but it's already below half. Genetics taunted in, takes a good bit of damage, and he's in fact very close to falling. Final Judgment gets it done as LASBRA joins the fray.
SamForSoccer using that ultimate defensively. Zearoe taking so much damage. Rude into the war cry. 2 quick picks onto Insignem. Not done with the chase quite yet. Could look for DeathPanter in the mid lane, but the call is to go back for the objective.
Yeah, this is Very Nice to me, forcing Insignem back into a fight they do not want to take. Zearoe and Genetics already down, 2 for Zearoe, and the gold. Fury goes over to Very Nice to me, and still there's not really any separation between these squads.
Despite being bullied so heavily in the solo lane, SoloOrTroll and the Chulainn has made an impact in this mid game, finding the multi-knockup with the ultimate and off of these 2 pass engagements, building the height of Urchin stacks all the way up to 6 stacks. Only 1 more stacks remains before he has it completed.
Now they're having to watch the Pyromancer be stripped away. LASBRA does go in to look for the defense, and that does go the way of Very Nice to me. Joshy cleans up Wowy. Can't quite get into range for SoloOrTroll, but LASBRA might have enough. Blink him gets out of there. Now DeathPanter's the one that's going to be the target as PainDeViande is hunting him down.
Oh, it's the slow onto the Athena. There goes some bombs raining in, but Joshy caught in a 2-on-2. LASBRA trying to assist. DeathPanter takes out the supports like Joshy, uses the Aegis, uses the dashes. LASBRA takes out Moswal. The defensive blinks are all over the place.
LASBRA doesn't want to give up on this one, though. It's going to force SamForSoccer to fall back. It's going to be a 3 for Zearoe overall in Insignem's favor, and this time, Very Nice to me can win 2 fights in the row if they want, but Fire Giant is going to be going to Insignem.
This is so important for Insignem to get this objective and start sieging some of these towers. There's so much gold on the map for them between 3 tier 2s and 2 additional tier 1s. You're looking at 5,500 gold just waiting for them.
And that felt like the first fight we got to see this game where Joshy was able to comfortably put in damage, right?
Oh, yeah.
He was able to come in on the backside very early on, find a pick. He couldn't catch up to SoloOrTroll, I think because the dash, he didn't quite get the distance on it he wanted. But that's the difference that this Chernobog makes when he's in the fray.
And the problem was that Very Nice to me was too ambitious to look for the Pyromancer. They took a little bit too much poke damage that they bargained for, Insignem capitalizing on it with those global ultimates. It was a great isolation that LASBRA took out Moswal early in the engagement.
Very Nice to me. I feel like they might be bluffing a little bit more than they actually have. There's only a few of them here. Now they have all 4 ready to try and push. They're going to take down this tier 1 tower as LASBRA continues to push on the left-hand side of the map. Moswal has gone to join them. And Very Nice to me, they do fall back. They push down that tier 1. They don't really want more than that. And LASBRA can't find the tier 2.
Normally, when you have Fire Giant, you're trying to group up as 5 to get some of these tier 2 towers. The game is a little too even to try to force a 4-1 split. It's only when you're behind desperately, like 8,000 gold or more, where you're the one going to be looking for the split push. Insignem, they need to use the remaining 2 minutes and 40 seconds of this Fire Giant buff to strip away all the towers collectively.
And that's where the game's really going to change, like the complexion of it. When they get some of that extra gold that they can get from these tier 2, 4,500 just about in total, they'll be able to add global gold to the squad, and that's where this first roll lead's going to come out. Because even with the FG, they're only up about 1,000 gold, really. That is the main difference between them, is that Fire Giant buff.
That'll put them at 5,500 if they can acquire it, and thus far gaining a little bit of experience lead now for Insignem. Trying to look at it, it's mostly the junglers, the difference between LASBRA and SamForSoccer. Great team fighting presence in the later stages. Also, Joshy has been making the impact. Wowy has been relatively quiet on the Xbalanque. He's just, trying to get those Xbalanque stacks for the extra damage, but he has to play so mindful of his positioning, because if he gets caught by Genetics' wall, he's utterly useless in the team fight.
Yeah, there's really no way to disengage. Look at Moswal stuck on the wall. They don't even have follow-up but it just shows how much of a nuisance Genetics has been in this fight so far. Zearoe is going to be the first one in. Taunted, takes quite a bit of damage, down to about half HP, but that's created space for Joshy and DeathPanter to take down the tier 2. That's all they wanted.
They didn't take too much damage for that tier 2 tower, so they can still make this transition in the mid lane. Another minute and a half on this Fire Giant buff. LASBRA was keeping SamForSoccer preoccupied on those back left camps. Taunt onto Zearoe, but more follow-up on the opposite side as Insignem looking for poke.
So we're going to keep SamForSoccer busy yet again in engaging his Genetics underneath the tier 2 tower, and PainDeViande ends up low. Double kill comes out for the Ymir as he shreds through. Very nice to me. Tier 2 tower's in trouble as LASBRA dies under the Phoenix, and Insignem, they want to take down the middle in the 5v3.
There's no front line for Very Nice to Me. Only SamForSoccer needs to be the buffer for Wowy and Moswal to hit this final judgment. It does clip Joshy, but already in the backline, SamForSoccer finds one. It needs to disengage, but Insignem with a middle Phoenix.
And Phoenix is down. It's a 4v3 at this point. SamForSoccer and Moswal make a nice play to at least get Genetics out of there, but Insignem at this point, they can feel very good about the way this Fire Giant's gone. 2 tier 2 towers and the Phoenix in middle lane, and a couple of kills to boot. Insignem looking strong.
They won a 4-on-4 with, yet again, LASBRA preoccupying SamForSoccer's attention around the speed buff. This is not something that Very Nice to Me can afford to happen. The problem mostly is Genetics' walls are just cutting off the engages. Very Nice to Me can't find the right angles to be able to penetrate.
Now this could be a chance to try and close this gold gap, at least for Very Nice to Me, as Insignem have to backspin a lot of that gold that they just collected off of that push, and this can kind of close that up for them. With the Fire Giant buff falling off, Insignem's minds are more on the right side of the map anyway. They want to be there for the Pyromancer, for that Fire Giant, establish vision control, and be in position to grab that objective as soon as it comes up.
And the thing is, they're not down that much gold, about 4,800 between these two teams or so. A little bit of experience, or a lot of experience you can say, but the game is entering the late phase. The 25-minute mark is where these teams are getting to the level 20 markers, and with a Thoth, Moswal has been able to play defense, and if that's what it's going to come down to, I think that they can rest easy knowing that Moswal piloting the Thoth can still make those plays.
Yeah, the area where that experience is still relevant. Look at Wowy, level 16 at this point in the game is pretty rough, especially with Joshy at that dominant level 20 position. Not going to hurt too much in terms of the abilities, but it just makes you wonder, is he getting enough farm here at this point in the game to try and make the same impact that Joshy can now have?
7,000 gold lead after the tier 2 tower. Fire Giant due to respawn right at this very moment. Will be the enhanced version after it respawns past the 25-minute mark. And this is where the battle of division matters so heavily. Zearoe pointing out even a regular ward means that Insignem going to look for the counters.
They should have an idea of where LASBRA is now. Looks like he's walking right over one of Very Nice to Me's wards, and indeed they're going to turn their attention back. This could be a problem. Might be forced to use the ultimate a little bit sooner than he would have liked. LASBRA getting caught out by the vision, but that is going to be the go button. PainDeViande trapped by the wall, by the freeze, by the shards of ice, and the knock-up coming out from LASBRA. PainDeViande getting shredded on the backside and already removed.
SamForSoccer in the back with SoloOrTroll that needs to find something in response, trying to commit onto DeathPanter. He's so low, he's in execute range, but the wall cuts him off.
SoloOrTroll gets in and just barely brings him down. Now LASBRA re-engaging, has to use Aegis, but not before SoloOrTroll dies in trade. 2 for 2 so far. Zearoe finds the pluck. SamForSoccer drops the beads. Long range stuns from SamForSoccer, but the wall's just too strong and they've got nowhere to run.
Genetics looking for anything with these walls. The pluck not on the mark. Moswal finds one, he uses the Aegis to buy himself time. Zearoe responds, and now we got a 2-on-2.
There's no way Moswal should be able to trade that back out, but it's just too much damage. Wowy trying to get in range for Genetics, doesn't have any mana. PainDeViande with the Defender of Olympus has returned to the battle. Zearoe taunted back in, and Wowy with plenty of room to operate puts in the damage. This should be a full-on deicide coming out now for Very Nice to Me, and can they grab the FG? No, they got to go back to defend this Titan.
It's only going to take a little bit of damage, probably will be about 50% health, but this is the problem with taking out an Athena early in the team fight. If it lasts too long, you got to worry about that Defender of Olympus. Genetics running out of mana throughout that team fight. Needs to maybe concern himself with picking up a Breastplate of Valor, honestly. After that, I would.
That might definitely be valuable here, as they're going to see if they can wait it out. No, they just need a little bit more time. They take down that FG. Not going to be on Moswal, but everyone else will have it. And most importantly, Wowy, who finally, I feel like, had some room to breathe there in that engagement. And remember how it started, totally. LASBRA gets caught out on the backhand side.
It's very true. Moswal got in a position where he forced an early ultimate from LASBRA, and then as a result, there was a dissection of these team fights. Genetics' wall caught off both SoloOrTroll and PainToViand, leaving in the backline for LASBRA to kind of zone, but he just took too much damage. This level 20 Thoth with almost full build is melting the Ratatoskr.
And PainToViand fell early. It was such a clean trade for Insignem. It's hard to believe that anything got traded back out in return, as LASBRA looks aggressively, not going to be able to find Wowy in the end, just forces him to dash away. So that is the Through the Cosmos on cooldown, but Insignem, they're the ones pushing forward, despite very nice to me being the ones who had the fire giant.
Well, they know that some of the defensive relics are down, specifically on Moswal. 48 seconds on the beats, 68 seconds on the Aegis, and that's the play that they're trying to make. SoloOrTroll just narrowly avoiding the pluck. If he gets plucked there, he might be dead, or at least takes 75% of his health.
No, I'm with you. That's huge, right? They might even be forced into a fight they don't want to take from very nice to me if he does get plucked back in. So fortunately enough, he manages to avoid it with that salmon leap, and very nice to me going to come grab the tier 1 because they still have quite a bit of work to do before they can start to fully visualize their own win condition. Tier 1 in duo, tier 1 in mid, still standing, and all the tier 2s behind them as well.
Very important that very nice to me we're able to allow this middle Phoenix to respawn in its weakened state without any sort of crumbling back, because that Titan, after it took a couple of thousand damage, can now safely heal back up.
Look at this from Joshy, though. He only has the Poison Star for crit, as it looks like Insignem don't really want to actually defend this tier 2. They're just going to fall back to the Phoenix. He's elected to really go for Pen and the Executioner around it. Maybe that'll be where he wants to go when he sells that Hunter's Blessing off to add a little bit more to that, as opposed to Wowy at this point, who has the Kin size, that big power spike item, so he's certainly swinging.
Look at this little ambush Insignem are trying to set up. That wall is so deadly around those corridors, and that's why very nice to me not opting to travel around it. They're going to go instead down this middle lane, looking for anyone that's isolated, but they're only going to find LASBRA lurking on the right side of this map.
Yeah, Insignem showing some presence here, like they don't want to give this tier 2 tower up. Wall from coming out from Genetics to slow them down. PainToViand can't quite find the Thoth, but this tier 2 tower should get poked. Insignem only really halfway defending, and they'll fall back. But this is good, as long as very nice to me can't really find any Phoenixes on the back of it. Insignem can still feel like they're the ones in the driver's seat.
I like the game plan. Genetics dropping the wall on one side, forcing everyone from very nice to me to funnel on the other, which can easily set up DeathPanter for a multi-bomb stun combo. But very nice to me, very mindful about that backpedal at the last given moment. Both of these teams stripping away towers. Only one tower remains between the both of them, and that's Insignem's on the solo lane side.
We're over to the 30-minute mark. Totally, could you have thought it when we saw how fast the game started out? It looked like, at least in the first couple of minutes, that this is going to be a really quick, just back-and-forth bloodbath. But instead, they kind of slowed the pace down. There's been plenty of fighting, but it's been around objectives. It's not been aimless, just murdering happening here on the battlefield. These two teams respect each other well enough to know that they have to be making sure that if they're fighting, it's over a big objective.
Speaking of respect, DeathPanter going for this Celestial Legion helmet really needs to worry about some of this backline penetration, as Ratatoskr and SOT have been able to make the Agni's life way more difficult than it needs to be.
That's a lot of defensive choices here in this game, right? Even the junglers built very, very defensive. The Magis and the Mantle there for LASBRA, along with a couple of shields, and same over there for Ratatoskr. He's built that way. They're very much relying on these mid and hunters in the team fights to be the ones providing the majority of the damage. It's going to be very important to make sure their positioning is safe. They're able to hold onto their relics and use them at the right moments in these fights.
19-17, 36 kills in 31 minutes. These two teams are going to be battling over this next Fire Giant. Trying to find that Ward Vision. LASBRA takes the one out at the top right mid Harpies, and thus far LASBRA has been playing very well, isolating Ratatoskr, but things have started to slow down now that this Achilles is level 20. He has a very defensive build in his own right, going for this Mantle of Discord, getting that little miniature Geb ultimate once he gets low.
That's right. Just that nice little AoE stun that'll come out, as it's very nice to me who have all of the position right now around the Fire Giant. Genetics wants to punish it with a wall, but can't find the freeze. LASBRA comes in on the left-hand side, has to dash away. Pain and SoloOrTroll take quite a bit of poke from DeathPanter over the wall, but now the return coming out from Moswal.
Wow, Moswal just so confident. His dash is down. Ultimate from Pain onto Wowy. Even sprint being forced, but it's SoloOrTroll that's the target.
LASBRA goes for SoloOrTroll and just gets punished for it. Too tinky of a target selection. It's a 5v4, and Insignem are already retreating. Very nice to me now. Want to turn back towards this Fire Giant. Insignem positioning like they still want to try and come in and contest, as it looks like we've got a brief pause coming out. We'll get everything sorted out here for these players, but totally LASBRA's target selection there in that fight.
Very unfortunate stuff for him. He landed, he got instantly CC'd and blown right up. And this is a huge advantage now for the North Americans. Insignem with a 5-on-4 around the respawn Fire Giant. This is their time to secure this late game objective and start getting some Phoenixes.
That's going to be the play here for Very Nice to Me. I'm just still thinking about it. It was just great from PainToViand. He immediately puts Defender of Olympus onto Moswal, I feel like, in that fight, because as you mentioned, the evade and punish was down. There was a clear opportunity for LASBRA to try and maybe punish him there, so he kind of cuts that off just with Defender of Olympus. And now that LASBRA's already committed to using the ultimate, he wants to get something out of it, ends up falling on a SoloOrTroll and just getting immediately controlled.
Going back into this game, Fire Giant will be secured by the North Americans. Europe wants nothing to do with this. Without their jungler for another 35 seconds, it's a little too dicey to contest this objective.
Very Nice to Me now have, I believe, our third Fire Giant here of the game, as they want to come grab the tier 2 tower on the right-hand side. They have not yet successfully brought down a Phoenix, unlike Insignem, who, remember, long ago got the mid-Phoenix on the side of Very Nice to Me. They want to try and even things up, if not do them one better and take the game. LASBRA still down for another 10 seconds, but Moswal has the beads forced out early on. Zearoe's low as he gets taunted back in. A big knock up from SoloOrTroll, and Moswal smacks Joshy.
Joshy needs to go heal, but look where SamForSoccer is. He blinks past the backline, but a beautiful plug from Zearoe, saving his Hunter's life.
That means they're only going to lose the Phoenix instead of perhaps the game, which could have very easily happened if SamForSoccer could have found Joshy on the back end. Instead, Phoenix on the right-hand side falls. Very Nice to Me, going to regroup and look to push down mid, but LASBRA wants to fight.
That's right, Moswal's relics, he's not available. The knock-up snare, and there goes the life. Moswal takes that spell. LASBRA trying to survive for the moment, uses his Aegis. The taunt being used, but a good beats. Now it's Insignem fighting. Wow, we caught in trouble.
He's in a little bit of trouble. Doesn't get pulled back in, but DeathPanter has the bombs. The two carries, Very Nice to Me. Essentially, all of their damage has been removed. The wall keeps PainToViand from running. He has to channel the Defender of Olympus, but without any damage, can Insignem just force down the door? That's going to be the question as they move towards the mid Phoenix.
They're definitely going to get the middle Phoenix. It's at a weakened state. It's only PainToViand, SamForSoccer, SoloOrTroll. These are your beefy frontliners, not your damage dealers that can eliminate some easy targets.
SoloOrTroll gets thrown back, frozen, and ends up taking the damage coming out from Joshy, controlled by the stuns as well, and has nowhere to run. DeathPanter gets the kill. Only SamForSoccer and PainToViand for another 15 seconds. Mid Phoenix does fall. Insignem gonna try and move into the Titan room. This is their chance to take game on, a thing they could not accomplish the last time they were here, as they look strong.
They're going for it, Finch. It's less than half health. Insignem barreling down the Titan room. SamForSoccer takes out DeathPanter.
Oh, they're holding.
Moswal revives. He takes out one. Joshy goes down, as does LASBRA, the last remaining member with Zearoe. Moswal is the hero that Very Nice to Me needed.
He came back up just in time. They just did not have enough damage. I don't believe they had enough minions there with them either to take down the Titan, and unfortunately for Insignem, they had it right in their grasp and just could not squeeze. Very Nice to Me, certainly still in this game.
I gotta look back at that Ymir wall, Finch, because
it slowed him down.
As good as Genetics' walls were in the earlier stages of the game, it just takes one unfortunate wall to slow down your team, and that bought, I think, Very Nice to Me, about 2, maybe 3 seconds.
That's an excellent point.
And that's all that Moswal needed, because that final judgment and all those assaults, it eliminated Joshy.
No, I think that you're 100% right to point that one out. That wall slowing everyone down created just enough room perhaps to allow them to grab, or allow Moswal to come back up and make the defense. Now the question is, can they reset? Can they come out and fight one more time? And Insignem have to defend on the right-hand side where their Phoenix has gone down. Very Nice to Me have to defend in mid. Everyone is respawned and back amongst the living, and no one has the Fire Giant buff any longer.
It's very true, but I think that despite having a 1-for-1 Phoenix trade-off, Very Nice to Me need to worry about any sort of Titan backdoor potential is just so incredibly low on the health pool. If Very Nice to Me are caught slipping and don't have the vision and the proper avenues, Insignem going to walk away with a Game 1 victory.
That's right. Minions at this point could even do it if they don't keep the wave pushed up, so they really do have to be careful around these Fire Giant fights. They might not even want to come out depending on how pushed up they can keep the wave. They might just have to give this one up for free. All that will come down to Very Nice to Me's decision making, as Insignem already want to control the pit about a minute early on this positioning here, fellas, but they want to make sure they're the first ones here.
It's better to be early than to be on time. That's what they always say. And that's what's going to happen as Insignem setting up little traps with these sentry wards. If PainToViand gets a little bit too frisky, he's going to get frozen, Agni bomb stunned. All the elements between ice and fire will be dropped on him.
I felt like you were channeling your inner Hindu man there, talking to the casting team or something on that one.
I have no idea what you're talking about, Fitch.
Insignem are the ones that had positional advantage, but they've kind of given it up here now, actually. Very Nice to Me appear to have the center, as the Fire Giant will be back here amongst 20 seconds. They've got the wave relatively pushed up, but LASBRA wants to try and change that and split the focus. Very Nice to Me, remember, with that Titan not healing until the Phoenix respawns, it will stay low. Insignem, if they win a fight just barely, they could potentially push past and just end. Very Nice to Me, got to be careful.
That's what LASBRA can do. He can keep shoving down this mid lane with the fire minions, use that global ultimate to force something, pluck onto PainToViand, frozen, bomb stun, solo in the health department.
Moswal's already used Final Judgment. I don't think it had the impact they were looking for. LASBRA, though, wants PainToViand in the back, can't find the knockup, and the taunt can't come through either, so LASBRA has to disengage, but SoloOrTroll wants to go back in. Shell just barely keeps Zearoe still standing, Insignem now on the back foot.
Trying to disengage Ratatoskr using that fatal strike. Oh wait, Moswal stuns out Joshy. The wall from Genetics. Stun being used. Joshy gets the taunt, but the bombs around the corner could be trouble for SoloOrTroll as he backs on out.
Has to use Aegis, but look at LASBRA. He's keeping this wave pushed up to the point where Ratatoskr has to back to defend it. He should be able to keep him at bay, but meanwhile, the Fire Giant's going to be going over to Very Nice to Me. LASBRA wants to force this. Zearoe is blinking in as well to make sure the Phoenix falls. Joshy has now shown up too. They're going to be able to take down Ratatoskr and grab the mid-Phoenix. Very Nice to Me have to back, but Genetics not going to allow it. Insignem going to barrel down the Titan. They backdoored it and taken game 1 totally. What a play from Insignem.
Oh my goodness!
Wow!
Fitch. Between the teleport from Zearoe, between Joshy's living nightmare, Insignem winning game number 1. What a performance between both of these teams.
That was huge. What a call. LASBRA kind of just walks down there, but as you said, the teleport coming out from Zearoe, Joshy coming in with that living nightmare, and Very Nice to Me just could not react to that in time. And then give credit to Genetics. He's the one that kept him from just backing the old-fashioned way. Excellent play there from Insignem to be able to grab that game 1 victory. It did not come easy, but they did a great job.
They set themselves up with that middle Phoenix siege before where the wall kind of hurt them, but it still did just enough damage to make that late game play happen. Insignem, what a performance. Both of these teams, honestly, what a performance. Back and forth action between the two of them. More than a kill per minute, I think, between the two of them.
And that was with that fight around the Fire Giant not really going Insignem's way. It was starting to look like maybe things had kind of slipped out of their grasp, but they managed to just barely keep it within their reach. And now I got to ask you all, who is the MVP from that game 1? Maybe just LASBRA for trying to force down those minions that middle way so everyone else could teleport in.
Whoever made the call is MVP from Insignem. They didn't look like a contending team in the spring split with how dominant it was from Anxiety onset. But then now in the summer, a little bit of a roster switch between these two teams, and Insignem on the support side, specifically Genetics, popping off.
Yeah, that was a really impressive performance from him on that Ymir. I feel like that was so instrumental to them being able to successfully win that game. But again, that's only game 1. It's a best of 3. Now the pressure goes over to Very Nice to Me to find a way to regroup. And we got some analysts. I wonder if they have any ideas about how Very Nice to Me might be able to do it.
Oof, well, I will say that is an amazing game 1 to open the day.
Incredible day, man. Semi-final days are always the best days,
they are.
And already delivering for SML.
So with that one, Insignem take the victory, but Very Nice to Me. That was a back and forth encounter consistently throughout.
Man, that was a roller coaster on both sides. It really felt like Insignem was in control, but then it got wrested back by Very Nice to Me. Moswal had a game for the history books by my estimation. I mean, he has an incredible fight by Fire Giant that we're going to go over a little bit later. His play to save the game when he respawns and hits the entire team with a final judgment to keep it going. He was great. I don't know what the MVP vote's going to say. I think this MVP should be easy. It should be Genetics.
Really?
He was so critical in these fights. Every fight that Insignem took in the jungle was won or nearly won because of Genetics' work on this Ymir. He was great.
The walls, they always cause so many problems. People underestimate how useful those walls can be in the narrow choke points, especially against gods that don't have many leaps. Most of the gods that we saw coming out there from Very Nice to Me were all basically, run around.
This is my new catchphrase when we see Ymir picked. It's this pick will either win their team the game or lose their team the game. It seems like Ymir is never just okay. He either does everything you need him to do and is the entire reason you win or pretty close to it, or feeds his brains out and can't do anything at all. It was certainly the former this time.
Well, definitely the fans at home are screaming LASBRA's name after that one. He's the one that's going to get the MVP vote here today. Now, LASBRA, in a very good situation for himself on this Ratatoskr, didn't necessarily have the greatest time of things overall, though. One or two plays were a little bit suspect. But alongside his teammates with DeathPanter and Genetics, it just allowed them to be in such a good position overall to find this victory towards the end. And that game, it could have kept going for quite a while if everyone worked out that, finding Moswal there towards the end. Now, as you saw a little bit earlier on, we actually were talking a little bit about how well Moswal played. It wasn't good enough to find the victory, but it was good enough for Ryan to want to break it down in some more detail, how much of an impact he made in that first game.
Yeah, thanks, Graham. We got the Telestrator here, a couple new toys here at Skillshot, and I've been waiting to use it to break something down. And this fight that happened in the mid-game here between Insignem and Very Nice to Me was the one that I decided to go over because it was just phenomenal. And we'll start with how well Genetics plays this play. Sure enough, this is a perfect spot for them to want to fight. This is exactly where Insignem wants to take fights. You can go ahead and roll it in slow motion here because this is exactly where, here, go ahead and pause it. Look at how, obviously this wall is very, very solid, but it's the fact that all the frontliners are all the way back here and no one has any options. SoloOrTroll can hop over here if he wants to, but what is he going to get? The whole of Insignem waiting for him right there. So you can go ahead and roll it in slow motion again. Pain gets isolated by Genetics because of his perfect wall, and I love his decision to immediately start charging that ultimate. And then all that damage coming in from DeathPanter, perfect funneling. Sam gets in there to try and help out his support, but it's not enough. Pain falls very, very early on. Go ahead and pause it right here. Take a look at what's going on in your screen. Where's Moswal? Nowhere to be found, and that's in large part due to the perfect engagement by Insignem, but also he can't really get in there and eat all those cooldowns. Now that those cooldowns are down, you'll see Wowy start to move in right here. He can easily start getting into this fight. SoloOrTroll has 3 eyes on him right here, here, and here, where Sam is on the backside trying to handle DeathPanter. That's his job here, is to cover DeathPanter in this fight and keep him off of SoloOrTroll, because there's no way he can handle both Joshy, LASBRA, and DeathPanter. So go ahead and roll it again in slow motion. Wowy's going to come in. Moswal has a really good angle to this fight, but Wowy and Moswal are a little bit too close together, so that's why Moswal starts to back it up here, also because of the threat of LASBRA. Go ahead and pause it right here. Sam and Solo are a little bit too grouped up. This is a problem, because now not only does this mean that they're going to get hit by the same abilities, but it's drawing Wowy too close to this fight. The team of Insignem doesn't really need to use a whole lot on these frontliners. They just have to bait themselves around them long enough to bait Wowy in here. So instead, LASBRA is going to be able to come in and be the first one to engage on Wowy. You can go ahead and roll it. Sam does a really good job of trying to split up. This is another beautiful wall by Genetics, by the way, to save DeathPanter's life, which was just preposterous. And then SoloOrTroll gets to go onto Joshy. Big freeze by Genetics. Pause it right here. This is where it goes wrong for Insignem. The call in comms is almost certainly that Joshy's in trouble, and we need to try and peel for him, because SoloOrTroll's on top of him and is going to beat him up. But that has got to be Genetics alone. And the fact that Zearoe, full health and full mana, comes all the way back to help out on the 1 HP SoloOrTroll, Genetics can handle Sam, the peel there by himself. You don't need 3 on 1.5 in this spot. Where is LASBRA? He's down here handling both damage dealers. And even though LASBRA built pretty tanky, he's not going to be able to withstand that for very long. And as you roll it right here, you'll see the LASBRA is going to fall shortly after SoloOrTroll once we get it to play. These guys have no chance to save LASBRA. Now, Joshy stays up, but that means that both damage dealers from Very Nice to Me are up and healthy. Go ahead and pause it real quick. This is perfect. Just want to point this out. This is how you team fight. You have to separate your hunter and your mage. There is nothing in the world that could hit Wowy here and Moswal here. The fact that Moswal doesn't dash around this wall to the left shows really, really good team fight presence. You can go ahead and let it roll again. Sam is just trying to keep everybody busy. But this is where the Moswal show starts coming up, man. He was clutch in this area. Another perfect wall by Genetics. I've said it a million times just in this little replay because my man's played so damn well this fight. I don't need to break anything down. Just watch Moswal thread the needle onto Joshy. Not only does he dodge the shot of his 2, but then is able to clean it up. That was absolutely beautiful. Moswal will inevitably fall here, but he bought enough time and did enough damage to set up Wowy and Sam for soccer. You can let the rest of the play kind of go, as after this, Very Nice to Me was able to easily clean up with Pain ulting back in. That fight, it's all about Genetics, getting his peel, getting that great wall off at the very beginning. But then, man, that turnaround by Moswal was critical, and the way that Wowy and Moswal split up was really good. The thing that changed later on in this game is that Zearoe wasn't spending too much time in that backline. He was joining LASBRA and diving the opposition. That's one of the traps of playing Guardian solo sometimes. You feel like you need to be in the backline peeling alongside your support when really a lot of times your jungler needs some help. Obviously, Very Nice to Me win that fight, but it was enough to win the game. Throw it over back to Graham.
Always interesting to see how these things break down in a little bit more slow motion between the two. Even though it was a good performance, though, from Very Nice to Me, they still end up dropping that game to Insignem. So Insignem now are 1 victory away from taking the scalp of this set against the minor league opposition from North America. It's been very awkward for them so far. Ryan, welcome back.
Hey, I'm back.
Look at that, it was quick.
I ran a mile to get here. Did you know that?
Yeah.
There is a mile in between the telestrator and this desk, and I'm that fast.
Okay,
it's true.
Guess the way it is, but good job. You don't even look hot or sweaty or anything.
Man, I'm I've been working out recently. That's a lie as well.
Now we were.